Hello, my name is Selma, and I am a member of the Insight team. And today I'll be walking you through the attendance and chronic absenteeism feature on Insight. This tool helps track attendance trends, identify chronically absent students, and analyze student attendance. To access this feature, you will go to the navigation bar on the top of the page. You will select school climate and then you will click on attendance and chronic absenteeism. This feature includes attendance data for all DOE district schools, but does not include charter schools or 3K pre-K centers. Since Insight data refreshes daily before 7 a.m., today's attendance data is not available. With this feature, you can compare attendance data at different levels, city, borough, district, or superintendency by clicking on the drop-down menu and selecting one of them. You will notice that in the non-teacher view, there are checkboxes. Users with school-wide access to the whole school population, such as principals or district staff, can filter by grades by using the checkboxes. Users can refine their preferences by selecting checkboxes to specify the grade levels they wish to focus on. You can clear your selections by clicking on the Clear Selection button and select all the grades once again by selecting Select All. The comparison group includes the students and the grades that your school serves. If you have chosen to limit the grades that you see in your school's attendance charts, the comparison group is limited to the students in that same grades. Now let's take a look at the teacher view and how it differs. Teachers can select a comparison group just like in a non-teacher view. However, their view is limited to the students they currently teach, and they do not have the option to filter by grade level. Let's move on to the school-wide attendance section. You will see two charts under this section, the daily, weekly, or monthly attendance chart, and the second one being the yearly attendance chart. In the first chart, you will see your students' attendance rate by daily, weekly, or monthly by clicking on the drop-down menu next to select an interval and select daily, weekly, or monthly. And you can do the same in the teacher view as well. By default, you will see three lines in this chart. The blue line indicating your school daily attendance rate on each day or average attendance rate for that week. Black line indicating school's year-to-date average attendance rate. The gray line indicates the year-to-date average attendance rate of the comparison group that you have chosen. If we would like to select a different comparison group, we can do so by changing the comparison group from city to borough. Now you will see that the gray comparison line will represent the average attendance rate for the borough instead of the entire city. Now, in the non-teacher view, users can analyze attendance data by adding subgroups. Let's add a subgroup and I will select current Ls for this example. Once you have selected a subgroup, a magenta line will appear in the chart representing the average attendance rate for that week or month. For teachers, adding a subgroup is not available. Instead, the magenta line will represent the attendance data for the students they currently teach. And you can view that by selecting the checkbox next to your student's attendance rate. On both views, click on any point in the blue or magenta line and it will display a written interpretation of the data. For example, if I hover over the magenta line in this chart, we can see that as the week of 3/10/2025, there was a 92% of an attendance rate. To hide specific line, you can use the checkbox in the legend. And you can do that as well in the teacher view. The following chart in this section is the yearly attendance chart. In both the non-teacher and teacher views, this chart displays your school's year-to-date average attendance rate for the current year, comparing it to the past 5 years. We will move on to the chronic absenteeism. The blue bar represents your students who are chronically absent in your school. If you hover over the blue bar, a explanation will appear. The thinner gray bar underneath will represent your selected comparison group. And you can add subgroups to this chart by clicking on the Add Subgroup button. We can select a subgroup for both views. And we can see here in our teacher view that for our subgroups, for students with IEP, 37% of students, which are 7 out of the 19 students that we teach, are currently chronically absent. When you click on the All Students bar or the selected subgroup, you will see a student list populate. Now, we're able to see in this student list the names of the students that fall within this group, as well as their total absences. And we can do the same in the teacher view as well. We can export this list as a CSV file or open it in other Insight features. Now that we have covered chronic absenteeism, let's move on to the student attendance. In this section, there are 3 charts that helps you break down student attendance in different ways. In the yearly attendance rate chart, we are able to view your students' year-to-date attendance rate compared to the selected comparison group. We can also add a subgroup, which will display an additional hash bar. Let's select our current L's in this case, and the hash bar will appear. We are able to hover over the solid green bar or the hash bar in both views and view an explanation of the bar. And we can also click on the bars to populate a student list. Next, let's explore the attendance rate band chart. The attendance rate band chart divides attendance rates into 4 groups: 0 to 50%, 50.1 to 80%, 80.1 to 90%, or greater than 90%. Each color bar represents the percentage of students whose year-to-date attendance falls within a specific range. Students that fall within the first 3 attendance bands, which is 0 to 90%, are considered chronically absent. We can click on any of the color bars to see a student list. We can click on 2 or more bars, or we can just click that one. We're also able to add subgroups to this chart. In this case, we can add current L's, and we can do the same here. And we can click on the hash bar as well to populate a student list. Now let's move on to the consecutive absence chart. This chart shows the number of consecutive absences of students who were absent on the most recent day for which attendance data is available. Students are categorized into 5 groups based on their consecutive absences. We can see that for one consecutive day absent, students who were absent the most recent day for which there is attendance data were present the day before that. 2, we can see that students were absent on the most recent day for which attendance data is available and the day before the most recent day when data is available. The students were present for at least one day before that. 3 to 4 consecutive days absent. Students who were absent on the most recent day for which there is attendance data, and 3 or 4 days consecutively before that. 5 to 9 consecutive day absence. Students who were absent on the most recent day for which there is attendance data, and 5 to 9 days consecutively before that. And then we have 10 plus consecutive days absent students who were absent on the most recent day for which there is attendance data, and 10 or more days consecutively before that. We can see them here. And if we hover over on any of the bars, we will see the explanation. And if we click on any of the color bars, we will see the students falling within those groups as well. It is important to note that this chart excludes days when attendance data was missing. For instance, if a student was absent on Monday, but the school did not upload attendance data on Tuesday, and the student was absent again on Wednesday, the system will count the student having 2 consecutive absences rather than 3. This is everything for today's tutorial. I hope you found this helpful. To learn more about Insight, please check out our other videos, which can be located in each feature summary. Thanks.